You're about to go deep with Dan Good.
Sasha, what's going on, man?
Oh, what? We're getting stuck straight into it, are we?
We're just going straight into it, mate.
I was waiting for the intro.
Oh, were you? What intro were you waiting for?
You know, the intro.
Oh, it's now time to go deep with Dan Good.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Now I'm ready.
I put that before the podcast, that's already pre-recorded.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
I see.
Were you waiting for me to play that for you over the speakers or something?
No, just, either that
He
or...
wants the full treatment, guys. What's been happening, man? How you going?
Yeah, pretty good, thanks.
Yeah. Well, today, so I got Sasha here today. He's one of my best mates. We're just going to layer out a quick backstory right now. And we met way back in Agrippina, right?
That's right.
It was a theatre production opera that we did. If you guys may know that I talked about with Andrew Fraser. He was on there. He's the notorious one who almost burnt down the set that we were on. And that's where we met all those years ago. When would that have been?
That was 2015, I believe.
2015, there you go. 7 years going strong. And basically, we've done a bunch of acting and stuff and everything together. A few movies. He was in my movie Grind. And Agent 88 as well, yet to be released, we will say. But also, mainly, what he's been helping me with is my training, my overall diet, and everything that's been going on fitness for me for, just under 2 years, would it be right?
Yeah, I think we started working together around September of 2020.
Yeah, well, there you go. And we are 2022, July, just cracked into July right now. So... yeah, and basically, reason being at the start, so I spoke to you a lot about it. You were living in Melbourne at that point, and he's back here on the Gold Coast now in Queensland. We've lured him back, although there's circumstances in that, but we might get to that later. And we were talking over the phone, and I was saying how my energy levels were just shot and I was feeling really fatigued and maybe I was overtraining, maybe not. It was a bit indecisive, right? And I was thinking, man, I want to get in better shape. Is that sort of how you recall it?
Yeah, well, I think up until that point, we hadn't really ever spoken in depth about how you actually went about your training and things like that. So,
yeah.
I guess once you got into the fact that you were feeling so run down and things like that, that's when we started to talk about things. And it was pretty clear to me that you were just doing a bit too much.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was it. And basically, we chatted and you're like, what's your diet like? What's this like? And you started setting everything out. And basically you encouraged me, right, to go and get a blood test.
Yeah.
And I did. And when it came back and I saw the doc, my levels were just completely shot. Mainly like my test levels were really borderline, very low, even estrogen levels and other things. And we're like, oh shit, okay, well that explains it, right? And so we put in motion basically how we were going to rectify that. And we've been on a bit of a journey since then. And basically within why don't you give people a bit of background on you and what you're doing right now, and with your training side of things with your fitness and everything, just a quick background, and then I'll go back to where that blood test ended up and what we did from there.
Sure. So I've been working in the fitness industry for almost 10 years now. So I got started in my early 20s and I worked in a commercial gym. Worked with many different clients from all walks of life. I'm very passionate about bodybuilding, in particular 70s bodybuilding. So it's been an awesome journey to see you change your body in the way that you have, because that's what I'm most passionate about, is body transformations. So I started off working in the fitness industry on the Gold Coast. As I said, I trained many different clients, including a client that actually went on to compete in several different figure shows, and she actually took out the shows. And the biggest show that she did was the IFBB, and we went to Sydney together, and she actually came first in Australia for novice figure. So that was really awesome achievement. It was a lot of fun. And then once I moved to Melbourne, I was working in a couple of different gyms, the second one being a little boutique gym in Fitzroy. And once the lockdowns hit, we were forced to take everything online. Well, actually, first of all, it started in the park. So really had to adapt, because being used to training in a gym environment, once you have to go to the park and use nothing but your body weight, and eventually I got a TRX, a suspension trainer, and you're forced to adapt and learn a totally different way of exercising. But it was a really good experience. Once we were no longer able to train in the park, it then went to online.
Yeah.
So I was training clients over Zoom from their living rooms.
Do you want to sorry to interrupt you. Do you want to just put your phone away just on the ground?
Sure.
I think it's... Oh, there's just a bit of interference, sorry, with the mic. Apologies. Hopefully we'll be able to clean that up. You can hear that? I can. My attuned hearing can hear it, and it's really annoying me, and I don't want it to muck up. Sorry, keep going, and I'll just figure it out as we're going.
Yeah, so as I was saying, I was training clients over Zoom. Then we're allowed to go back into the park, and then briefly into the gym, and then back online, and then back into the park, and so on. So it was a bit of an experience, but as you mentioned before, I've moved back to the Gold Coast and decided to continue working in the fitness industry. But now what I do is a little bit different. So up until this point, I was working solely out of the gym, but now I've continued to help a lot of people online. So I basically do fitness consulting online, where I help people much like yourself with their programs and nutrition, set a plan up for them that they go and do, and they can train wherever they like, whenever they like. So that's one of the big benefits of it. And then we check in every fortnight just to make sure that they're on the right track and talk about anything that they might be struggling with, etc.
Yeah.
So at the moment, I'm doing a bit of a mix. Helping some clients out online, but then also working out of my mate, or you've actually had him on the podcast, Victor.
Yeah, that's right.
So I'm working out of his gym down on the Gold Coast, the Body Temple.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome, man. And yeah, it's been fantastic. And I'll get back to the point right now of where we were at and what we sort of did from there. But yeah, so I got my, that's the online training is the beautiful flexibility of what we're doing as well. Like obviously when we started, you were in Melbourne and you were doing everything. And I actually also, other than the blood test results, which I basically said before, my levels were shot and everything like that. And we went on that way of switching things up because the doctor didn't really have much to say about it, other than what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And then we figured that out from there. But there was also some issues I had with like flexibility and things like that. And you were able to literally look at a video of me. I think we did like a Zoom thing or FaceTime or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, okay, man, you need to do some stretches here and here and do this. And basically something that because I got bursitis in my shoulder and I was rehabbing that for a long time. And I think I had done it from overtraining and work and things like that as well. But also I was doing some stunts training and doing the break falls and rolls, and I was constantly doing it on that shoulder. And then a couple of days later, it popped on me in the gym or what have you and gave out. And then I ended up figuring out that I had bursitis in the left shoulder. And that rehab was I didn't get any cortisone shots or anything like that. And I wanted to do it all naturally, and try and heal it up, went through the physio process, and that was a bit average. It seemed like I was sort of telling him what to do half the time. And he's like, yeah, just agreeing me or reassuring me as we were doing it, which was interesting. And then I sort of talked to you about it. Yeah. And that's when you like rectified it with basically some certain stretches and movements. And that's where I believe we started basically from there. And we continued on to what is now. But you were diagnosing that over FaceTime, helped me with that straight away, then started to set up a plan, and we started to figure out what was possibly doing these things in my diet or how to rectify these low levels and everything, right? Is that sort of how you recall it?
Well, what you were experiencing was from what I could, was basically, to me, it seemed like you're experiencing what's called adrenal fatigue, whereas you were basically burning the candle at all ends. So you were doing way too much in the gym.
Yeah.
You weren't sleeping enough. You were drinking too much caffeine.
Yeah.
You were going out on the weekends. So it was just a combination of all these different stresses on your body, and your body just simply didn't have the capacity to recover, and hence why your hormones were really suppressed. But once we took a step back and, still kept you in the gym training 3 days a week, just pulled back on the volume. So you're doing a reasonable amount of volume, cutting down that caffeine, ensuring that you were getting some quality sleep every night, and then also fixing up your diet too. I think it just really helped. Just over those 3 months, it was amazing actually to see the results of the second lot of bloods that you got done.
Yeah. And so that's sort of where we took it to, right? Is basically, I got those done, and it was low levels, and then we tweaked a few things, and you gave me the advice and set out training plan and sort of nutrition and helped me with that about what I should do and educate me on how I should go about it, basically. And we did that, and we got them back, and my results were through the roof after that, which are way higher than average for those of you who don't know, really, really high anyway, and especially through the roof considering where they were before. And my doctor was absolutely gobsmacked. He's like, just keep doing whatever you're doing. And it's just like, yeah, thanks, bro. Like, appreciate the help. But and man, it was all down to you and what you had sort of worked out. Obviously, like I worked hard too and changed a lot of things, a big change in lifestyle.
Yeah.
To a certain extent. I mean, I wasn't crazy going out all the time before. Come on, man. No, it was though. Like it was a bit of a change of lifestyle, but more just a tweak than anything. It wasn't a huge.
Well, I would say it was a lot of little tweaks.
Yeah. That's probably a better terminology there. Yeah, exactly.
And it didn't happen overnight.
No. Of course not. No. It took time. But that's what we sort of went through, right? And just recently. Well, we did all that, and then recently you sort of challenged me, and I challenged myself, so to speak, to basically an 8-week challenge of cutting right down, going hard, not really drinking in between there or overeating in certain situations, which I'd occasionally do. I was very good during the week. I was pretty on the money, but it was when the weekends I would loosen the reins just slightly and then sometimes get a little too carried away. And it wasn't a lot of drinking, but there was a couple in there. But and look, it was quite phenomenal actually, the results, and like the before and after pictures and things like that, it was just quite next level. With all that, I mean, it was just... it was hard. It was obviously a lot of discipline and hard work and training, but we got there, and we'll pull some stuff up in a minute. For those of you who are watching YouTube, you'll be able to see those. We'll put a little screen in there so you can see what we're looking at. But those of you listening, I'll do my best to we'll tell you what's going on. But also, I mean, I got to say, along with the results and stuff that we'll get to in a minute, and the transformation in itself, what it did for me was I started to enjoy my training a hell of a lot more as well. I was probably training for like 2 hours in the gym, and it was starting to get a bit of a drag, as everybody knows, like it is sometimes in the gym. You got to drag yourself there after work or a long day, and you've been going at it. And
what exactly? So tell them the sort of training that you were doing before we started working together.
Well, that's pretty hard to explain because I don't even really know how to say what I was training. I was just doing doing a lot of benching and stuff like that, shoulder work. There was deadlifts, like squats and legs and everything. I was doing everything, but it wasn't like I was just training repetitively, and I wasn't switching my training up a lot. I was definitely guilty of that, as though everyone sort of knows that isn't totally on the money with all that. You get into a routine, you keep doing the same thing, and it gets boring after a while. I mean, how would you explain it? Like I was training before.
Well, if my memory serves me right, I believe you were doing what we call a typical bro split. So basically 1 body part a day.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, more or less. Yeah.
So, of course, Monday would be International Chest Day.
Yep.
So you'd,
pretty on the money there.
et cetera, which, isn't necessarily a bad way to train. Is it the most optimal way for a natural athlete? That's debatable. But so you were basically doing that, you're working out, was it 5 or 6 days a week?
Yeah, that'd be about right. Yeah.
And spending about 2 hours in the gym at each time.
Yeah, I would say that would be pretty correct. Maybe a little talking in there, but yeah.
And I liked the analogy that you used to, that you used a couple of times. It's like you got into the gym and you just felt like you had this massive mountain to climb.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's actually it. Yeah, it was, because you do your first like exercise set and you're like, oh man, there's so much to go. Like, and that's never a good mindset to be in after the first set or before it, and it makes everything an uphill battle, right? A mountain to climb. Yeah, that's sort of it. And yeah, definitely, yeah, it felt like that. That's for sure. But yeah, sorry, keep going. Basically a bro split day is how I was training before. And and like I said, I've been probably training very similar for several years at that point. And I always trained by myself. I only ever once really had a trainer, I think, like when I first came over here, maybe, like 10 years ago or whatever it was. And 9 years ago that was set out a plan and I sort of go by it, and then did that a couple of times with her. And then I just sort of carried on and did it myself after training with mates, my mate, Jeremy Weber, back in the day for a little bit. And he was pretty clued up. But it was, more like, the bodybuilding side of things, I guess. But I was pushing way too heavy weight at that point too. And I think that didn't help. And then you get into bad habits when you're training as well, and all those sort of things. So definitely was a lot that I had to rectify and tweak and fix up along the way. That's for sure. Yeah. And continually still doing that, I might say. Not that I got it perfect, but when you train right and do it properly, you get the results, right? And you activate the muscles in the correct way. And it's not always about pushing massive amounts of weight. And unfortunately, a lot of the guys fall into the trap of ego lifting when they go to the gym. Yeah. So, that's fine if you want to, if you're focusing on being a power lifter and just lifting the largest amount of weight possible. But if you're wanting to shape your body like you've done, you got to realize that the muscles don't know how much weight you're lifting, only how much tension you're putting through them. Yeah. So it's more important to focus on the form and take that muscle through its full range of motion with an appropriate weight than it is to just lift a heavy weight from A to B. Yeah, and that's still something that I continuously have to tell myself as well as I'm training. Because it's I've got really good at it now. I feel very comfortable with how I'm training and how I'm doing it. And because the results, the proof's in the pudding. It's and plus, like, you really, when you're activating the muscles correctly through the fluid motion of the exercise, and it engages the way it should engage. When you're doing it right because you feel it. Yeah. And that's why it's like not a pussy thing to do, to start off with the light weights and feel it right through and just keep increasing as you go, as you're hitting those reps and that weight milestone. Then you just keep going up at little increments. That's like not getting too carried away, right? But I think that was really a huge thing as well. And then you're not putting so much stress on your body when you're training as well through the movements. And that's when you pop things and things go and whatever happens, but then you're out of the gym as well. So that seems stupid, right? Yeah. Because then you can't train and you lose all those gains that you had before, whether they're bro gains or not, it's one of those things. So it's a mental state to get around in it. And like, I still got to tell myself it, but I've got very good at doing it now that you've like drilled in the things to me and how to train properly. And I've drilled it into myself and put the practice in and done the work and got the results. So yeah, it's fantastic, man. And like, I couldn't thank you enough for everything that you've done for me, because it has been a huge transformation in mindset and training and body and mind. Yeah, it's been out of this world. And like those before and after pics show, man. And that's what we'll pull it. We might as well pull them up now if you want to. Or, yeah.
Take a look now.
Let's have a look. And guys, like I said, I'll do the best to tell you. But the proof's in the pudding. When you see it, then you'll know what we're talking about and where it's come from and where it's at now. So I've just basically finished the 8 weeks and the 8 weeks challenge that I have that we set, and Yeah, and then so now we're pushing a little bit further because of where we've got to now. Just make sure you put that screen record on, bro. Yep. And so we're pushing for another couple of weeks because I have a bit of a promo photo shoot with Hard Knock Life, as I've talked about before on the podcast, the series that you can get now on Tubi and Plex and Amazon Prime in the US if you want to check that out. But we're doing a few promo work for that, and I'm guessing they're probably going to want me to take my kit off apparently. And so it was a good opportunity to push another couple of weeks and see if we can get down a bit lower with the body fat percentage and everything else and the definition and the muscles and that. And just like sort of appreciate where I've got to and where I'm at for me and how that feels to be. But yeah, as you're looking at now is, and I'll do the best to explain, obviously, for the audio people listening, that we've got a before and after image. Or why don't you say, Sash? You know this a little better than I do, but it's from when I first started, before we started training, or maybe a couple of weeks or a month or so after, right?
Yeah. So this was around September 2020.
Yeah.
This first image here.
Yeah.
This one was a week or so ago.
Yeah.
So as you can see in the left-hand picture, Dan was about 16% body fat, give or take. In the right-hand picture, we've brought him down to around 7.5. Not only that, you can because it's been almost 2 years of consistent training. You can see he's got a lot more muscle on him as well.
Yeah, it's nuts. When I look at that, I think, geez, where did I get to? Got an extra keg there, and it wasn't that I was that bad. Like it, I think the main thing was obviously all the feeling of that energy and everything was just terrible, man. Just being so zonked and like not being like, like dragging my ass to the gym more than going there enthusiastically, but that happens with the training, everything as well. But just looking at that, I'm just like, Jesus, and I'd probably, like back before I started training, obviously I wouldn't have even been in that's probably pretty good shape compared to what I would have been like back in the day when I wasn't training,
Yeah.
And I've spoken about it before, the mindset that it had for me, the positive nature of it when I started training, when I moved over to Australia, and just all the confidence I got within myself. I mean, geez, you should see me now. Now that I feel good about this, it's really been a second lift for me and a revitalization, in myself and in my confidence. And it just helps in life, I think when you train like this, and it's just like, it's a way of life for me now. It's not just like a thing that I do because it clears the mind so well, but obviously you feel good about it. And when I wake up in the morning and I go to that mirror and I can see my abs coming through, it certainly is a good feeling, It means like all that sacrifice and dedication and hard work was for something, and just trying to keep maintaining it is the key now, as well as pushing these next couple of weeks to maybe drop a bit lower. But man, when I look at it, it's nuts, isn't it?
Just you look like a different person.
I know. And just you see it, and that's what everyone says, you see things in the face, right? Straight off the bat, straight away when you look at it. And that's the first thing that people notice when they see you and they talk to you as well, is that and that kind of compliment. I'm like, thanks, yeah, like you don't always notice it yourself, but when people start saying it, you start taking a bit more notice, right? But yeah, just like, especially like as you can see there, like the thing that I struggled with before was building the chest out right and getting that definition in the chest, which you can clearly see I've built up a lot more now, and just the way it clean cuts as well, and it goes and it is molded there is just what I'm it's one of the parts I'm particularly proud of. And like, as obviously that us as males, we hold like that cortisol levels, right, is high. We hold the fat like in around our abs or like just around the sides, isn't it? Is that about right? Like usually around the organs, right? Like
So males tend to accumulate stubborn fat around the midsection, simply because that's where we hold our vital organs.
Yeah. And so that's obviously been the hard part to get off. And as you can see by the images, I had like it's not a little gut. It's just like I had a little bit extra there. You can still see I had a bit of a formation going down there, that V shape, a little bit, not great, but a little bit there to work with. But now that it's just so shredded, like it goes right down. and you can see my abs. I mean, this image, it doesn't exactly full on show that like I've got the six pack going, but I'll tell you right now, I do when I wake up in the morning in that mirror. I can see it with the down light, but that's what I guess we're pushing for the next couple of weeks, is to drop that a little bit lower, and hopefully they'll be coming through in the images and we'll get those in there as well. But yeah, I mean, and also like obviously the arms and the shoulders are a lot more dominant, a lot more sculpted. That's the other thing, right? That you can kind of see there through the arms, and just the overall body fat percentage that's dropped down. But also like the legs, I know you can see them in this. Like my quads and my hammies are growing, which is something you complimented me on the other day, right? Something about the hammies, you're like,
yeah, you've got really good hammies.
Yeah. And so, yeah, that's great. And it's something I didn't notice until you said it. I was like, oh yeah, okay, cool. Thanks, man. But yeah, I'm just like stoked, like it's just unreal looking at those images. And now, you switched over to the back, which, yeah, okay. I mean, have you got something here that you'd like to say with, I mean, I guess, you look at that, like what sort of transformation has gone on here? Like what have you looked to have done with the whole overall body? Like at the start, you were saying, I know you started me off like, let's balance everything out from a start point and then build from there, the areas that you want to, that you saw fit to, that I wanted to build.
Yeah.
So what would you say was the way you sort of went about setting up my training, or what you're seeing in the before pictures to now, and what you've sort of done in that time to switch everything up?
Yeah, well, the way that I approach training, most clients, well, any sort of client that's after a body transformation would be to focus on sculpting their physique evenly. Because at the end of the day, nobody likes the look of a guy that's got tiny legs and a big upper body. That, or anything like that. But when it comes to, just taking a look at this image from the back of you, you can see that you already had, a decent amount of muscle on your back, and your arms have always been good, and you've always consistently trained your legs, which is awesome. So you started off with a good base here.
Yeah.
But the main difference is you see particularly, see your arms here.
Yeah.
See this part of your tricep, which is called the long head of the tricep.
Yeah.
See how you didn't really have too much there, but now in the new picture here, see how much more massive it is?
Yeah, because I obviously just wasn't hitting that area, right?
Yeah. So the way that you fully stimulate the long head of the tricep is by doing any sort of extension exercise when the elbow is above your head.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the only way that you can fully stretch the long head of the tricep. So consistently including that in your programs has enabled you to really build up that long head and made your triceps look 10 times better.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can see also you've got a lot more thickness in your lats as well.
Yeah, for sure.
That's basically come from getting you to switch to more close grip pull down exercises. So anytime you do a pull down exercise or a chin-up variation and your hands are closer together, it's going to work more of the lower lat area rather than the upper lats. So you can see that's filled in quite nicely. You've got what we call the Christmas tree going on.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's the thing. I think like my back was sort of one of my stronger areas before, and my shoulders and my upper body, obviously the nature of the work that I do as well. And I'm I'm upper body prone, right, with my lifts and stuff like that, which was also something I kind of had to train out of some of my lifts at the same time to be better at that. But yeah, I can definitely see the transformation there with, like you say, the thickness and the lats, and that tricep one is crazy, where it hit. And for you that are just listening, it's a bit hard to describe, but there's different areas. Like, what is there? 3 different muscles in the tricep, is that right? And the bicep as well. Yeah, and
biceps 2 main muscles.
Yeah,
triceps. Hence, it's what bi.
Of course, yeah. Duh. But yeah, you can really see that it's popped in a certain area where I wasn't hitting before, and that's where like the knowledge goes down to how to activate that and the different training methods and switching the training up all the time as well, which was basically what we were doing, right? We were switching it up every 4 weeks? Were you changing it, or?
Well, providing you have got your weight selections correct, the average trainee will adapt to a certain stimulus after being exposed to it about 6 times.
Yeah.
So with you, we'd normally switch the program up after you're doing it about 6 or 8 times.
Yeah. Okay. So 6
and it doesn't necessarily mean switching the whole program up. It could be just changing minor things, like changing maybe from doing a barbell bench press, for example, to a dumbbell bench press, or continuing to do a lat pull down, but just changing the grip or something like that, or changing the rep ranges, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, exactly. And so why don't you explain the images and what we're seeing at the moment then? This is the side image on the left-hand side, I believe, of my body. And I mean, you can see before my triceps weren't too bad. I guess that's that bit popping out there that I sort of naturally had, I guess. Anyway.
Yeah, but they've got a lot more thickness to them now. And then also your delts as well, your shoulders got a lot more.
I think that's
looking
a
lot more
thing.
rounded
For sure. You can see it's bulging, and
chest is way more massive. And then you've obviously lost a lot of body fat off the midsection too.
Yeah, that's for sure, which was the hardest part. But yeah, even that rear delt too, right? Like popping out, or like
it still needs a bit of work, but it's definitely a lot better than what it was before.
Yeah.
Your shoulders look a lot rounder.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's great. Oh, it's crazy to fucking look at this, man. It's nuts.
You've done well, man.
Yeah, thanks, bro. Have you got the other side there, or is it just
just the one?
Yeah, no, it's all right. It's about the same both sides anyway. But I think that's what it was. Like balancing everything up at the start, because I was top heavy. Like it was just. Yeah, I think that was the best way, like, to go about. Obviously, we were going for a body transformation, so you start, well, not at the bottom, work your way up, but start at a base level of working things up together and activating together the way it should do when you're doing the certain pulls and pushing exercises.
Well, you've always got to make sure that you're training the body evenly. So if you're doing, for example, let's just say 3 different exercises, pushing exercises in your program, you got to be doing at least 3 pulling exercises. Otherwise, you're going to end up with imbalances and issues, not only from a visual or aesthetic standpoint, but from like the health of your joints and your muscles. Because a lot of the time, guys will do a lot of bench press and other chest work, and they'll get a massive chest, but they're not doing enough back exercises to balance it out. So they end up with rounded shoulders, and then they end up with injuries.
Yeah.
And for somebody like yourself who's got a day job that requires them to have their arms over their head, then it just further compounds. So
I'm not stripping, guys, just so you know. It's although I probably could now. No, it's and that's and that was the constant strain as well. And it's hard when you go in there to try and do these lifts as well, and you've done a physical job all day. But if you set yourself out right with the right training plan and the right amount of training and the right time to be in the gym, that fatigue goes. Like when it was really hard, that mountain to climb, as we spoke about before. I just got so much more enjoyment out of my training with everything that you outlaid for me. And I think that's one of the main things to start off with, because if you're not enjoying what you're doing, what are you doing it for? Like it's really hard to push yourself after a long day to get in there and do it. And it was the fact of doing different exercises. Sometimes I'm a little like, because routine's good, right? It's good. But I love a challenge and things to change, but you can get so used to being in those routines of everything. And that's what I was doing. And it's easier to go in because you know where everything is, the exercise, you know what you got to do. And then you got to switch it up. But it's good because it's such a different mindset when you have to change and think and grow and do different things and learn different things. Like it's daunting at the start, but then once you've done it once or twice, you're like, okay, yeah, no, I love this. It's different, it's cool, it's new. And that was the huge thing, I think, like just, bringing that total utter enjoyment into the training. What was the best part about it, I think, and the results are clearly. Yeah.
Well, people don't realize that you can get awesome results from just spending 3 or 4 hours a week in the gym.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. You don't need to go like, so basically what don't you say what you actually had me doing, because it was a split in different things that we went like, do you remember where we started with, what we were doing to sort of what we were doing after, you know, like, because obviously we had cardio sessions in there as well, which, you know, sometimes you can skip. And I think I was at least doing one of those a week, but we switched up. Why don't you sort of go through that? If you don't need to show any more of those, take it down. Unless you've got something else you want, we can bring it back up again anyway. But yeah, so why don't you let us know, what you sort of had set out there to do it and the structure of it?
Well, I mean, having trained you for almost 2 years now, we've done
a lot of different ones.
yeah. There's been quite a few different programs that you've done, but I'm pretty sure when you first started with me, it was just a simple upper and lower body split. So you were training upper body one day, lower body the next, upper body again. I dare say it would have been something like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And then the second week would have been lower body, upper body, lower body.
Yeah, that's it.
So that way you're hitting each muscle group, say every 4 or 5 days rather than once a week.
Yeah.
So you get a greater chance of basically stimulating that muscle doing it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then from there, we also experimented with some other splits. So I believe we had you doing what was it? We had the lower body and arms day followed by a torso day. And then we've also done push, legs, pull. Had you supersetting chest and back one day, legs, and then shoulders and arms another day. So you've done quite a few different splits. But one thing has remained consistent, and that would be the fact that you were in the gym doing weights 3 or 4 days a week, not 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Because that's not really necessary for what you're wanting to achieve. And then the other thing is, you were training your muscle groups more frequently than once a week.
Yeah. Yeah, and having those cardio sessions in there as well, which I might add were really good to break it up and have, you know, obviously because it's not great to be training weight sessions like back to back all the time unless you're really structuring it right, but it's not great, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think for the average person, training no more than 2 days in a row with weights is a good idea.
Yeah, exactly. And it was good to even just get out of the gym as well and get outdoors, like working in a workshop all the time and then go into the gym and then you come home in the dark and it's like
break it up a little bit for you.
It's so repetitive, and the changes made, especially like here now at the new place and the old place that I was at, is getting outdoors is cool because you can run down by the riverbank and there's dogs and animals around and fresh air, and just getting out in the sun a little bit on the skin is obviously important as well, getting that vitamin D in, and just everything I think naturally just to breathe in that air is great as well. So that was really fun and fantastic. But yeah, just overall, just like absolutely amazing results I think with the training and just the enjoyment out of everything. Everything was just up so many levels from where I was at, and I was very stagnant in my training, and it's just been through the roof. So I can't thank you enough, man.
You're welcome.
I appreciate everything that you've done for me, because it's just been just that word again, transformation, like in mindset and body, you know, and the results are
you should be very proud of yourself. You've done an amazing job.
Yeah, thanks, man. No, I am. I'm kind of like, you know, it's just when you see the pictures and you get compliments and stuff, it's really uplifting, you know, for the confidence. So it's great. And it's not like I'm stopping here anyway. I just got to keep pushing, you know.
Well, that's right. You put in the effort to build those habits, and now that you've maintained them for a while, you should be able to consistently maintain them for life.
Yeah. And that's what I plan to do, really. So now I'm down to that point, it's not like I want to splash out and just go crazy.
You can splash out and go crazy occasionally, but as long as you just get back on track the next day.
That's it, isn't it? It's just it's a mindset like that. It's like, I know a lot of people can like, oh, I stuffed up yesterday. Oh, I'm just going to have a lazy weekend and then I'll get back into it on Monday, right? Mm-hmm. That's very easy and an attitude that you can probably often see with some people.
Definitely.
And that's it. Yeah, because you're only human, you know. You go out and you have a few drinks or whatever, and you maybe have that Macca's feed like late night or whatever you do, you know. But it's just important to get back on and make up for it the next day, right? And just keep going with your diet and whatever you've sort of set for yourself, and you can achieve great things. Because like I'll admit, like even in those 8 weeks, right, I had a couple of moments where I'll be honest, I slipped up a little bit. I went a bit overboard, and then Sasha was really good at keeping me in line, and I got scared of him at some points, guys. It just like I didn't want to tell him, like I had, because that's the other thing that it holds you accountable for, and you hold yourself accountable, is the way you've set it out with that's probably one thing we should touch on too, is how like the dieting aspect. It's not really diet, it's just like eating better and knowing what you're eating. And it was the way you set out the portion sizes. And so I understood the portion sizes, so you can do it if you are eating out on the once a week or whatever it is that you have your cheat meal. But also with knowing how many carbs and fats and like the portions of the carbs and fats you should be eating to be able to burn, get your body in what ketosis, right? And or is it keto? No,
that's something different.
See, that's what he said. And just so your body is burning like the fat, right? And you've got enough energy to get through the day, and so it just slowly, obviously, you're getting better and you're improving. But yeah, how was that thing for you? Like, I mean, you've discovered it from somewhere else, right? And you've tweaked it and done it your own way. But yeah, also basically I had a tally of these certain portions that he had set out for me that I ticked off on these boxes on a daily aspect, and it kept me honest and it kept me accountable, because when I did go over, it was clearly there. He could see it too. And then you sort of make up for it the next day, but it really helped to understand what you're putting into your body and versus what you're getting out of it and where you go wrong, and then you can see it. And because I started weighing in at the start, he said, every second day, whatever. And for a long time, it was every day, wasn't it? Because I was recording it every single day, because then I started to get obsessive with it and know like what I was doing. But I'm a numbers person like that. So I sort of like just started doing it as a regimen every single morning, like the same way, so I could see and hold myself more accountable. But why don't you set that out?
I get, as you mentioned, or that I guess what makes my approach a little bit different to other trainers is the fact that we keep track of absolutely everything. So not only just your weight and your measurements, but everything, every aspect of your diet, every variable of your training. So how much weight you're doing, how much reps you've done, how long you're resting in between sets, and then of course your cardio, everything like that. And you've been using the system that I created that enables us to keep track of that very easily, simply by ticking boxes.
Yeah.
So in regards to the nutrition, should probably mention that I'm not just a personal trainer, I'm actually a certified nutrition coach. So I did my study through Precision Nutrition, and I've got to say that was absolutely life-changing. In the study that I did with them really has shaped the way that I approach my coaching with clients these days, and it's been a tremendous help. So in regards to the nutrition, gone are the days where you would have to put absolutely everything that you ate into an app like MyFitnessPal, because I don't think you ever used MyFitnessPal.
No, I downloaded it and I had a look at doing it, but I never used it. Yeah.
So it can get quite tedious and can send quite a few people neurotic, especially a lot of trainers will have their clients like weighing their food and stuff like that. Every morsel of food. Don't get me wrong, that sort of thing can be important if you are training for a bodybuilding competition, or if your career relies on you looking a certain way. For example, if you're a movie star or something like that, then that sort of thing becomes a little bit more important. But a more simple way to approach things to keep track of your eating is to simply use your hands as guides. So what I mean by that is hand portion sizes. So when we take a serving of protein, for example, we're just going to take your hand minus your fingers and your thumb, so just the palm of your hand, and that is basically your serving of protein. So whether it be a nice serving of chicken or beef, or if you're a vegan or a vegetarian, tofu, something like that, So everybody, when they're eating, they should build their meal around a good quality source of protein. So there you go. You've got your palm for that. And next thing would be your salad or veggies. If you make a fist with your hand, that's your portion of veggies. At least a fist size serving. Next up, you've got carbohydrates. If you make a cupped hand, that would be your serving of carbs. And then when it comes to healthy fats, you've got your thumb. So the size of your thumb is your serving size for healthy fats. So the beauty of it is that if you're a bigger person, you're probably going to require more food than somebody who's smaller. And your hand is naturally bigger. So, and then you can also take your hands anywhere with you. So if you're going out to dinner or you're going to a friend's place, instead of bringing your kitchen scales, you can simply use your hands as a guide.
Yeah, exactly. And it did make it great, but it make it a lot more handy to do as well. And also, like, I'm obviously a bit of a stickler for numbers, and I started to go on that side of thing once you understood and broke it down a bit more for me. But basically, like, that palm-sized serving of protein is roughly 125 grams, right?
Well, it depends on the size of your hand.
Yeah, exactly.
But for yourself, it would
for what
roughly be around 125 to 150 grams of, say, uncooked meat.
Yeah. And so, there's other ways to work it out. But that made it so much more flexible and easy to work out, obviously. And but I think also the recording nature, of, like I say, holding myself accountable and seeing the boxes that I'm ticking and what I'm actually eating, and then where I go over, and then rectifying that the next day or over the couple of days if I have a bad one. And
I mean, it's all well and good to use the hand portion sizes, but unless you're keeping track of how much you're eating on a daily basis, you're not going to know whether or not you're eating too much or too little. There's too much guess in it. So if you are wanting to transform your body like Dan has, you've got to keep track of things. And that's why I mentioned we keep track of absolutely everything. So every time Dan would eat a portion of protein, he'd have a little box to tick. And same goes for every other food group. And then the way that the system's set up, it would automatically calculate at the end of the week his average intake of all those different food groups, and it would give us an approximate amount of calories that he's eaten. So that way we'd know exactly at the end of the week if he had eaten too many calories or hadn't eaten enough, which rarely happened. But so that way, you've got to keep track of things, otherwise you don't know what to adjust.
No, that's it. And look, like I say, proof is in the pudding and the results. So with you, I mean, why don't you let us know a bit about like the company that you've created now and what you're sort of doing with online training, and where people can get a hold of you for that sort of thing. Because I could not recommend it anymore. Like you can see what I've done, and I stuck to it and I got the results, and that's all there really is to it. Like, and stayed dedicated to it, and through Sasha's guidance, like, rectified injuries, got enjoyment back in my training, enjoyed every bit of it, less training, less time in the gym, and got the results to boot with definition in the muscles and cutting the body fat down to 7.5%. I mean, I'm stoked, beyond stoked. So it's I couldn't recommend Sasha's training any more highly. So
thanks.
Why don't you let us know where people can find that?
So you can find me on social media. So on Instagram or Facebook under my name, Sasha Dulics. I'm basically running things from there at the moment. But as I spoke about before, if you are the kind of person that enjoys going to the gym, and you have a certain level of motivation where you can actually go to the gym and work out, then definitely the online approach is something you should consider, because I can set you up with a training plan and a nutrition plan, just like I have with Dan, completely catered towards your body and your goals. And once set out the plan, you go off and do it in your own time, and then we just catch up every fortnight, make sure you're on the right track. You can let me know if there's anything coming up, any changes that you need to the training, anything that you're struggling with, and we just basically work together like that.
Yeah, very flexible. And when he means catch up, it can be phone conversation,
we normally do things over Zoom.
Yeah, and stuff like that. And it's very doable for the first, year and a half, year plus. You were in Melbourne when you were helping me with this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it was done easy. I mean, I think we may have only even had 1 or 2 FaceTimes, if that. The rest was all just done through conversation.
You and I. Well, it depends. Again, like I cater towards the client.
Yeah,
so if they prefer to have a phone call or converse over voice messages, much like you and I do, then that's fine.
That's true. Yeah. No, that's very true. Yeah, and and so have you got a website up now, or you're just doing it all through social media?
Just
at the moment?
Social media.
Yeah, mainly. Well, so that's, why don't you spell it out for them just so they can find, like, Sasha Dulics.
Yeah. So that's SASHA.
That's right.
D for Delta, ULIC, S for Sierra, Sasha Dulics.
There you go. And that's where, so Instagram, Facebook. I'll also put the links up to Sasha's socials and everything like that on the, where you get this podcast from, basically on YouTube and Apple Podcast, Spotify, and all that stuff. So that'll be up there, guys. So it's easy to link through and get onto it. And couldn't recommend it anymore. It's been amazing.
Thanks, man.
It's been great.
I really enjoyed helping you out.
Oh, no, thanks, man. No, I appreciate it. And we're going for a bit of a feast after we do this podcast, Korean barbecue, which I've been wanting to take Sash to for a while now in Brizzy City there. So it should be good. But also, obviously, let's delve into other things as well. Like, obviously, this podcast is a lot about acting and filmmaking and things like that, and that you're also into. I know lately you've been doing quite a bit of training. How's all that going?
Yeah, really good, actually. So currently doing night classes out of the Warehouse Workshop in Helensville on the Gold Coast with Tom McSweeney.
Yep.
He's really, really pushing me this term, but I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, and I've watched quite a number of your tapes that you've done, and as soon as I watched it, I was engaged straight away, and just the length of your performance is just growing so much more from when I knew from doing, like, obviously we did Agent 88 and Grind together, and I've seen some of your footage with the other films you've done before as well, and just you're at another level at the moment and just growing with each self-tape, eh? Like, it's well, that's it. Like, but once again, you put that effort in and dedicate and learn the scripts and take on the advice that Tom or whoever you're training with is giving you, and there goes the growth, and you can see it in your self-tapes, which is great.
Thanks. I mean, it's hard.
still working at it. It's a constant work in progress. That's what it always is.
It's just like training or sculpting your body. You're never going to get to a place that you're never going to get to perfection or a place that you're happy with. You got to keep pushing.
Yeah, no, that's it. And so, I mean, how do you feel about your training at the moment and things you're doing? I know you can be hard on yourself,
acting wise.
Yeah. Well, like all of us, we can be hard on ourselves, right? And always see room for growth. And, like it's one of those things, isn't it? If you're not challenging yourself, you're not getting better. So,
well, I mean, it's easy to be hard on yourself, but you've also got to recognize when you do make improvements, of course. But you've also got to keep that attitude of constant improvement too. Definitely, I think this is the second term that I've been doing at the Warehouse since moving back to the Gold Coast, and just watching back the footage myself. I can see some improvements. So just want to keep on that trend,
just keep doing better. And you've got you've recently just got a role in a web series, isn't it, as well?
Yeah. So it's called Blood Soaked Sand. Yep.
Sounds cool.
Yeah. So it's going to be a web series. I believe it's 6 episodes running at about 15 minutes each.
Yep.
Yet to, they've started filming, but I I'm yet to film myself.
Be on set, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're looking forward to that, obviously.
Yeah, definitely.
Are you allowed to say a bit about your character or not really? Probably under hush at the moment? Or?
Yeah, I'm not too sure. So
you're on the side of caution there. Yeah. No, that's awesome. But and you have also another guest of the show, Jeremy Reese-Hill, Western Culture, who he came on and talked about. Geez, was it last year? I think. Yeah, I think it was last year. Yeah, so this is, and by the way, this is the third year I've been running this podcast, and it's taken this long to get this guy on the pod. So yeah, you know, a little clap for that. But yeah, it's So you were in Western Culture with Jeremy too, right? So and that was your no, it wasn't your first feature film, was it?
That was my second feature. My first feature was called Hannah and Other Misadventures. I had I guess you could call it, supporting role in that. It's currently on Prime Video. And Tubi TV that I saw the other day. So
well, there you go. It's actually pretty good. That's where Hard Knock Life is as well.
Okay,
is on Tubi. Yeah, and actually the interface on that's pretty good. I've used it before. Like you can get the app on your phone or wherever you want to get it. You know, on your smart TV or what have you. And it's actually quite usable. You know, for a free streaming app, guys. So get around it. Yeah.
So Hannah was my first feature. Western Culture second.
Yeah.
It's in post-production at the moment. Apparently it's going to be finished soon. I'm yet to see it myself, but I played a character called Dmitry Dostoevsky. Acted alongside both Victor and Andrew, who you also had on the pod.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a really awesome experience.
Yeah, no, that's great. And that's the thing with the feature as well, is like there's a lot of room to grow in when you're doing those, isn't it? Because it's a lot more screen time than just your average project that you're doing, and more in depth with one character as well. So you just got more time to delve into it, right? And,
that's right.
Explore, yeah.
Yeah, compared to, say, shooting a short film, which you can... You know, which I've done in the past, like in one or 2 days. Shooting a feature, you're on set for at least a good few weeks.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a good time to go deep, so to speak. But so that's great, and that'll be coming out soon. I mean, Jeremy, he's finishing off the little finishing touches, so to speak, and
working on sound apparently.
Yep. Sound, it's always a thing. Always waiting on sound. So that's fantastic, man. I mean, you've been moving and shaking and doing things because you felt like you got a bit stagnant in Melbourne, right?
Oh yeah, basically because of the lockdowns.
Yeah. Which we try not to.
So things were going swimmingly up until that all happened, but So spent about a year and a half of not being able to do anything. And if you are any sort of creative person at all, you'll be able to understand that if you don't have something to work on, then you kind of feel like you're dying inside.
Yeah, you want to put that energy towards something, right? Otherwise, it gets a bit swirly in your own mind, so to speak.
Yeah, I think as a man, you've got to have something that you're pursuing and you're working towards. It's very important. You've got to have goals and that sort of thing. So I was definitely able to keep up with my personal training business, as I mentioned before, but not being able to do anything in the acting world, it was tough. So it's really great to be back into it.
Yeah, and that's I will 100% agree with that, because I've had I've had a bit on lately with gigs like on like Nautilus and stuff, and hope to be back down there on that Disney series in August. And like a few other things have been going on. Like and recently when I caught up with you the other weekend, I went to the Elvis premiere. Who we had Alex Radu on the podcast. Who he was on in the last episode, and went down there with him for the premiere. And that was so cool. It's been a long time since I had been in that environment. And I think that was a huge adjustment and wake up for me, because I was around my people again, like creative people. And I was running into all these different people that I hadn't seen in a long time. I'd been down at the studios or on set or whatever, and hadn't ran into them, and was down there and And the movie was great. It was inspiring. You know, there was some really awesome moments in it. It turned out to be a great film. And like Austin Butler was sensational. You know, it was great to see. And there was some really like spine tingling moments, I honestly will say, that really spurred me on. But being around those people again really got me jumping and jiving, you know. And I came back with, as you just said before, that purpose, you know. It lit something back up in me again. And I think it also comes in hand with feeling good about myself with this training and stuff and where I've got to. And then like, we did that skin fold test the next day and you're like, oh shit, man, like you're at 7.5%. I'm like, do you believe it? I'm like, nah. And he's like, well, and you did it like on your worked it out as well, and then did the skin fold test, and they both came to that. And you're like, oh shit, okay, well there you go. And just that blew me away. And I really came back from that as jived, you know, and enthused. And all this week I've been, and as I've said about on this podcast before, and I told you I'd keep myself accountable for it. Started the brand. I've got a new Oddballer shirt on again, and I will have for every episode from now. And so I've kept with that, but it's not gone on the back burner, so to speak. But I just got so passionate and so inspired with what happened down there with Elvis and being around people again, you know, and good things, that I started working on my next film during the week, and I feel so good about it, and it's unreal. I went for round 3 on the Blake Snyder book, Save the Cat, and I'm doing it that way. I'm getting my structure good, and I couldn't be more stoked right now and happy with where I'm at and what's to come, because I'm really, really excited about doing this film. And yeah, and I hope to have a bit of a roll on there for you, my man. And yeah, it's shaping up nicely, eh? So
yeah, well, I mean, I haven't heard anything about it yet.
I know, and there's not. It's hard. I don't want to say too much now because I'm in such very early stages of scripting. You know, I mean, yeah, the way that they Blake Snyder like sort of gets you to go about with the structure and everything is actually like you get the name of the film and your log line and your one-liner and everything first, and then you keep that as a structure to keep going back to, so you're not going away from your general purpose. So I actually have that. I know what, you know, the film's going to be about. It's going to be a heist film. Cool. And yeah. I could pitch it to you right now. I could say it, but it's very early stages that I think it will be told in time, you know, and I will show you, you know, the script when it's ready to be shown to people, and you will be one of the early stages, early people to see it in its early stages when I got a draft going. But yeah, you know, like I want to say right now, maybe I'll talk to you off camera about it, you know, but we could talk about it. It's just, I'm excited about it, but it could, you know, aspects can change.
Yeah, so, exactly. Things could change.
Yeah, so. It's very, very early stages, but yeah, it's a heist movie, and it's something that I've wanted to do for so long.
Nice.
And the thing is, it's been percolating in my mind for a long time as well. Like I could even say years. And I basically have the majority of the scenes storyboarded out in my head and also on paper. And it's just, yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. And it really, I do believe, because my imagination can be wild and get away from me a little bit, you know, and that's why I've gone down the road of like watching the structure and how I'm sort of going to go about it, you know. But it's something that, yeah, like it can go wild, and sorry, I was just lost my train of thought then. Yeah, that it can go wild, and I do want to do a feature, and I believe I will do a heist film feature, and this will stand probably as a short film that will be the precursor to the feature, that will be more of a concept for the feature as well. Yeah, I was already talking to a mate of mine last night about some stuff, and he might be coming on and being involved in a production side of thing and finances and stuff as well. So that's good and it's exciting. But yeah, it's so early stages, so I won't say about that. But I will share a little bit. And at the moment, clearly everything is working titles and it's working synopsis and all that sort of thing. But it's called Sex Tape Heist.
Okay.
So yeah, and it's basically in order to clear his debt and save his daughter, Jax Booker gets together his crew of misfits to steal back notorious crime boss Julius Augustino's sex tape from a rival boss. So that's sort of like the premise of it. Yeah, it's still obviously clearly working, very early stages, but it's, yeah, I mean, you know, like it's, yeah, we can leave it at that. But there's a bit to obviously unpack within all that, and it's early stages of working, but that's sort of where we're at, and working titles and working names and everything. But yeah, that's what I'm doing, and I'm excited about it. So there's going to be some underworld crime aspect of it, crime bosses and different families, and the higher ups and the powers that be will run things, and there's going to be a lot of undertones with everything, and it's going to be in there and mean something for every little bit of the story that I'm trying to tell. But I'm excited about it, and I can't wait to get stuck into the script some more and get it out and start casting the thing, getting into production. So, yeah.
So who's going to be in the sex tape, you or me?
None of us actually for once. Yeah. No, it's going to be the crime boss in a very unassuming and compromising scenario that's kind of the irony in it. And that's what Blake Snyder's very big on, is to have irony in the title and in the actual film of, obviously, a notorious crime boss shouldn't really be worried about a sex tape, should he? And there's reasons being that of why he is, because it's very compromising and very unusual. Okay. And he doesn't want to see the rest of his, the higher ups and the people that, you know, that should be fearing him and things like that, and the higher ups that control it, seeing this. But for the aspect of another crime boss to be going out and stealing the sex tape, and him going to get the gang of misfits together to steal it back, is just the whole tale of it. So yeah, it's early stages, as I say. So yeah, none of us are in the sex tape.
Man.
None of us are in the sex tape. Put it that way.
Good.
Yeah. Well, you know, because sometimes you've. I
was a bit worried.
You've had some questionable what characters you'll play, and you're like, oh man, I just want to play the mysterious character for once, or something. Like, you know, I know about some things that we've cast you in before.
Oh, well, you know, when you're getting started, you can't afford to pick and choose.
You can't, guys, and remember that. Yeah, no, you do. You go, and it's good to branch out and play these things that aren't so close to yourself. So it's yeah, it's good. It's what you got to do. Like, you know, you don't always want to play your own self and your own characters, right? You want to step outside it. That's why part of why we get in this game is to play things outside of ourselves, or things we can't do in normal life, right? I mean, what is it for you? Why did you choose to come into the acting game? I know you've done quite a bit of modeling and stuff as well. And so why is it for you? What's attracted you towards this craft?
I wouldn't say I've done a little bit of modeling. But the reason, well, why I'm passionate about acting, well, obviously, I really enjoy it. But what sort of, well, basically I grew up without a father, and I watched a lot of 80s action films as I was growing up, you know, a lot of Jean-Claude Van Damme and Arnold, etc. And they were kind of like my sort of, you know, role models as I was growing up. And I would watch like a Van Damme movie, and I would just, after watching it, just like, just have such an awesome feeling, you know? And I think part of me is, if I could somehow play a cool role like that and somehow positively influence somebody else in that way, I think that would be really, really awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, acting is also, I know it sounds like, you know, but it's a form of art. And so you're creating something with a bunch of people that, and being like a film medium, it's going to be around for as long as computers are around, you know, so it's going to be around forever. So you're creating something that's going to be around forever. I think that's also something that's very special and awesome too. How did I specifically get into it? I'd never really done any acting before, but it just turns out that one of my mates, he was studying film at uni, and it was for his graduation piece that he asked me to come and be. I was a demon actually in it. So I had like a lot of makeup on and stuff like that, but I absolutely had the time of my life.
Yeah.
And so I thought to myself, I want to give this a go. So that's when I decided to enroll in classes. And actually, Victor, who we've mentioned a couple of times already, when I first became mates with him, I mentioned to him that I wanted to give acting a try, and he said, "Oh, me too." So our very first acting class that we took together, the first class that I took was we took it together at the warehouse.
Yeah,
yeah, and then it basically became like when I was in front of the camera, that was the time I was having the most fun.
Yeah,
and so that's why I've continuing to pursue it, and I just love it.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. So you were inspired by seeing Jean-Claude Van Damme, is that right?
Oh, big time.
Or you were, but because it was a cool guy kicking ass and like always kind of the hero and saving the day. Is that what it sort of aspects of it, or?
Yeah, well, I was obviously impressed by his physique, but just his charisma, and I just thought it was really cool. Arnold as well,
Yeah. So like being the brooding strong arm man, the strong lead character that he's in it's all martial arts, right? A lot of Jean-Claude Van Damme. Did he do a lot of films that weren't really martial arts heavy?
They were all action films.
Yeah.
He's done a couple of dramas.
Right?
He's done a couple of dramas, which he's been really good in. But it's always, he's a martial artist, so it's always revolved around that.
Yeah. And do you think that's, were you into bodybuilding and stuff then or not? You were younger, obviously. Do you think that's where it stemmed into, like from seeing that?
Well, yeah. So I always thought, since like being really, really young, I was like really into superheroes. I used to dress up as Batman and different superheroes.
Yeah.
I really liked, like, for example, He-Man as well.
Yeah.
When I was a kid. So I always thought like, like a muscly physique was cool. Since I was a kid, and then once I had the opportunity to start going to the gym myself, through the influence of another mate, I started going and I just got hooked. Yeah.
No, that's awesome, man. And so, for you now, then you're doing films and you keep working at it. Obviously, it's a constant pursuit. And you said you wanted to inspire a little bit, like show other people that's why you're doing the things you're doing, obviously, show it's possible, right? To people, if you put your attitude and your positive mindset towards things and you work at it, you slowly start to achieve these things that you want to, right? And you try to show other people that they can do it too.
I think I'm still a long way off inspiring other people, but I just feel if I could have some sort of positive impact on somebody else's life in the way that
these role models have
movies,
for yourself,
movies had on me, I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah. And do you think, you mentioned that you didn't really know your dad, growing up and stuff like that. Do you think that's why you gravitated towards some of these characters and things like that on the screen as well?
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
I've always been drawn to that sort of lone wolf sort of character, kind of, he's a good guy, but sometimes he has to do some bad stuff to help other people. He's kind of got like that sort of murky past. Think of, say, for example, like Ryan Gosling in Drive.
Yeah.
Or even if you look at like any of the older films, like any of Clint Eastwood's characters and stuff like that. Yeah. That's the sort of character that I'm drawn to.
Yeah, no, that's great. And and so you've done a little bit of modeling, but you still don't feel like you're pursuing that as much as what you were?
Unfortunately, I'm not tall enough.
Isn't that always the case with models, right? Whether females or males?
Not always the case. There's certain height requirements in the modeling world.
Yeah. When you get into the upper echelon sort of thing.
And if you want to be a fashion model for a guy, you've got to be at least 183.
Yeah.
At least, yeah.
Yeah. Which is just over 6 foot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And so there's some other things I know that you have done, and you didn't want to talk about too much, but you have done some music as well, right? You put out an EP?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So what sort of, you can get that on Spotify, right? Is it still up there?
It's out there.
What would you call that kind of music that you it's a bit of a, you can explain it far better than I could.
Yep.
And what's the EP called and everything? Yeah. You're like, you don't want people to listen to it?
No, it's fine.
Yeah. It was a while ago now. I know it was a bit to get the thing out and get it made, but it's a pursuit. It's an artistic pursuit that you
it was
went
a great
down,
experience.
man.
Yeah. I'm certainly not a naturally gifted singer by any means, but I always wanted to. I mean, I love music. I've always listened to rock music. And always wanted to create something myself. So when I had the opportunity, it was to do it. I did it with another mate of mine, and it was a fantastic experience. The style of music, it's very different. So if you've heard of dark wave, it's kind of like dark wave mixed with it's got guitars and stuff in it. So dark wave mixed with rock, I guess.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, and I listened to quite a bit of it, and I think I might listen to the whole EP. But there was a few songs in there that I said to you, it's not my genre kind of music that I really usually gravitate towards and listen to. But there's a couple of songs, and one in particular that I found myself driving away to, and I remembered the words of, even though I'd only heard it a few times, that the tune was actually really catchy. So I thought you did a pretty good job with it, man. I mean, it's hard, isn't it? One of those things, musicians, they're funny people sometimes. They don't, there can be some amazing singers. I'm like, man, if I could sing even half as good as you do, I'd be doing it all the time and putting it out there. But they're so closed off, I find, a lot of musicians. And they don't necessarily feel, I don't know if it's a comfortability in their work or in their own skin, but they don't really want to share it or tell people that they're musicians as well. I've found with a lot of singers, yeah. And it's
I think it depends on the person, but I guess,
of course,
there's probably a lot of introverted singers there's a lot of introverted actors.
Yeah. That's very true. Yeah.
And they do it as a form of expression.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's it. So, I mean, where to for now with you? You're training quite a lot at the moment with Victor, who was on the podcast before. Down at the Body Temple.
He's also my training partner.
Yeah.
We're working out together 4 days a week. It's been really great because I haven't really ever had a consistent training partner that I've trained with. Each session. So it's been really, really cool. It just so happens that the time that we're available sort of matches up. So. We're working out together down at the Body Temple, getting some awesome results.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fantastic thing that he's got there too, because Vic, I mean, if you guys remember, he came on, and I believe the first year we had the podcast, and he spoke about wanting to open up this fitness and wellbeing center that he now has opened up on the Gold Coast. So it's phenomenal, and I couldn't be more proud of him doing it. And it's a great place, isn't it?
Awesome gym.
Yeah. I mean, multi-level, we've got the infrared saunas in there, and the cardio room upstairs, and with all the equipment that you could ever need, and then the weights down the bottom. And it's just a great environment though too, great spot. And he sets out people training programs every time. When if you join this gym, it's a boutique gym. it's something that I wish was up here in Brisbane. I would be signing up to it in a heartbeat. Yeah. And I hope to still find, but it's fantastic, isn't it, the way he's got it set up?
Yeah, so it's similar to the place that I worked at in Melbourne. So that's where some of the idea came from, but it's a boutique gym. So what that means is it's different to, your regular chain gym, in the fact that when you sign up, you're not just another number. You are part of the community, and Vic does a really awesome job of looking after each and every member. So when they sign up, they get a consultation with him. He does some fitness screening on them, and based on the results of that, he does them a tailor-made program, and then they go off and work out. He also sets them up with an eating plan, I believe, and then they go off and work out. And then 8 weeks, every 8 weeks, he'll adjust their workouts for them.
Yeah.
The gym's got great equipment, so it's not only got for example, some of the latest hammer strength gear, but it's also got, for example, an old school hack squat, old school leg press. So the machines he's really handpicked. So because, just because it's a new piece of equipment from a reputable brand doesn't necessarily mean it's going to hit the muscles effectively. So the equipment selection that he's got there is awesome. But then he's also got the infrared sauna, and he's got a couple of different membership options. But if you take the higher end one, it does come with unlimited access to the infrared sauna, which is a really amazing deal. So if you're the kind of person that loves to jump in the sauna on a weekly basis and you want to go to the gym, it's really a no-brainer.
Yeah, I mean, I had a sauna last night when I was at T's house, who people who listen to the pod will know from the start was helping me out with it. But yeah, like that sauna is just so good on the body. Like and doing 20 minutes up front and then going and jumping in the icy cold pool and trying to last out like 5 minutes or so or whatever it is. And yeah, I was lucky to probably get that last night because it was so cold. And then jumping back in for like another 10 minutes to warm back up. But just the feeling on the body, like I was just like, I had a pretty decent sleep and I was just like, you wake up like, oh man, like yeah, it drains it out of you, but it's so good. Like as long as you replenish, your fluids and everything and warm back up the right way, like it just reduces inflammation in your body and just overall for recovery, especially if you train heavily. It's fantastic. Like I wish I had one here. I hope to do eventually try and set one up here. You can do it. You can do it. Have like a 2-person one or whatever at home. But yeah, it'd be pretty amazing. I love to do it. But yeah, so I mean, where to now from everything else that you're trying to do, man? Just keep pushing forward and doing your training with your acting. And
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I've got in a really good place at the moment, so I've got a lot of flexibility with my work, which enables me to put in a lot of time to the acting training and go to auditions whenever I need to, shoot self-tests and so on. So I really want to keep concentrating on that and see how far I can take it.
Yeah. And that's it. I mean, we've done a couple of self-tests recently. You've helped me out and done me a solid with a few of them. It's been really good, and it really makes that difference. Having that person that that can help you with that as well, like that's been really beneficial. Like, I mean, I had one of the probably the biggest audition I ever had that you helped me with, and like, it was a lengthy one too, last minute. So it was a lot of lines and stuff to know. And it was great to have you there to help with. But it's important, isn't it, to have that support structure within what you're trying to do. And obviously you have a little bit of help at home too with that. Like you get your girlfriend the odd time to help you out. And
she's really good. So she, obviously when you're doing a self-test, you're doing 1,000 takes and she never says no, so I'm really lucky in that regard.
Yeah, no, that is good because, you can get some people that do it with you and they can get a little impatient and it's like, it's part of the process, isn't it? And it's like, it's so hard to even ask someone to help you with them sometimes because you're not sure like what's going to, what they're going to be like with you and if they've got the time for it, and I hate burdening people with that responsibility as well, but you're generally pretty good with the people that you meet and you can help them do it as well. And it's like I had a self-test the other day and Alex had the same one and it was just after we did the pod like a few days or a week later, and so we helped each other with that and it was funny and it was good. It works out great that way, right? But yeah, I mean, so where else what else do you want to you're hoping to achieve, man, with everything you're doing? I mean, is there goals for you with the fitness or with the acting or music or anything that you're trying to take on in the future, or where would you like to see yourself, like obviously improving all the time is one, but yeah, is there anything particular you're sort of aiming for at the moment or?
Oh, well, as I said, I want to continue to help as many people as I can out with my fitness business.
Yeah.
I love seeing changes in my clients. I love being able to have a positive impact on their lives. So I want to continue doing that. But then, as I said, just with the acting, just want to keep training, keep doing auditions and just see how far I can take it. That's the main thing, man.
Yeah. No, that's it. Yeah.
Can't really speak about too much in the future because we don't know.
You just don't know
what's going to change.
Yeah,
but those are my two main focuses at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's good. Yeah, well, I look forward to having you on set sometime soon and we get these productions rolling, man.
It'd be great to do something together again, for sure.
Yeah, well, I know like you don't want to play those exact down the line. So, obviously I even pitched before, when it's really very early stages of what I'm trying to do with that production, and things will change a lot. But I think the character that I've sort of got eyed up for you would be quite good. It's going to be way different from what you've done before.
Okay, cool.
I sort of want to say, but I think we can talk about it later off
Sure.
Off mic, so to speak, and with that. But I mean, what are some of the characters that do interest you, other than that dark and mysterious kind of like thing like that? Like, what do you like to step outside of yourself with in that regard, or you always you want to play the cool sort of mysterious dude, or like could you know, like is there things that you want to sort of, you know, find out about yourself that you'd like to, you know, I mean, it's an interesting pursuit, isn't it? Like when you go down this road and you throw your energy and your time into something, into a production, and the characters that can really have a heavy effect on you as well. Is there things that sort of attract you in that regard, or do you hope to ever write and do something yourself in that regard, or?
That would be cool one day. Yeah. I think I'd like to just try any role, really. Like, yeah. It's not as if I'm only interested in doing that dark and mysterious character.
I know.
Those are the sorts of characters I'm driven to. But
yeah,
you know, like my first feature, Hannah, that was a comedy. Really enjoyed doing that. So I'd like to do some more comedy for sure.
Yeah.
I'm open to anything.
Yeah. Well, that's good. It's you know, an open blank canvas, right? And sort of mold from there. Yeah, no, that's great.
It's still early days.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, well, I mean, so do you see yourself? I mean, obviously, you're on the Gold Coast at the moment. I mean, there's things happening here. You know, there's a bit going on, so it is good. Without saying too much, but yeah, I'm just trying to like, do you? I mean, you've spoken before about you also something we probably could actually touch on too is that you grew up a lot and did schooling in Japan. You speak fluent Japanese, right? So
yeah, I didn't grow up there.
Yeah,
but
well, you know, you did some schooling over there, right? And a few years you lived over there.
I spent 10 months. Over there during high school.
Yeah.
One of the greatest years of my life. It was absolutely awesome experience. I love Japan. I've been there 4 times. Really itching to get back there.
Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about your time that you spent over there, or what you actually love about the culture and everything? I mean, to come back or even before you went to actually learn about the culture and speak fluently in their language is like, clearly you like it more than just going there a few times. Like, what is it about the Japanese culture that you love so much?
It's hard to like pinpoint it to one particular thing, but my first exposure to Japan and Japanese culture was through Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
So this was before it actually came out in Australia and to Western countries. I can't remember exactly how old I was, but I was introduced to it by a Malaysian childhood friend, and my mum had the opportunity to go to Japan when I was really young, and I said, "Mum, please bring back some Dragon Ball Z tapes," which she did. But unfortunately, back then they were in what you call NTSC format. So the Australian video players are actually PAL, P-A-L.
Yeah.
And so I couldn't watch them. It wasn't until I went to my uncle's house in Sydney for the summer holidays that he had like a really good a VCR that enabled you to play not only PAL but NTSC as well. So I was finally able to watch it. And what he did for us is he actually set up a camcorder in front of the TV and filmed it while he was playing it. So that way I had a tape that I could actually take back to the Gold Coast and watch at home. But yeah, so that was a bit of a digression. But I first learned about Dragon Ball Z, and then a mate of mine in primary school hosted some Japanese students. And it was the first time I'd ever met somebody from Japan. And I don't know, it was just something about them that I just thought was really, really cool, you know? And once I moved high schools, I decided that I wanted to start studying Japanese. And so once I moved to the northern end of the Gold Coast, one of the conditions of me going to that high school was being able to study Japanese, and my grade wasn't actually, because I think back then they used to alternate. So it was like 1 year Japanese, 1 year Italian or something like that. So I ended up being put in the grade above me for that particular class. And I started studying Japanese, and Japanese has 3 different alphabets. So hiragana, katakana, and kanji. I remember learning both hiragana and katakana in about the space of 2 evenings.
Yeah.
I just fell in love with it, you know. And then it turns out that the high school that I was going to had a sister school over in Japan called Inagakuen, and so they would have students come over once a year for, I believe it was either 10 days or 2 weeks or something like that. And so finally I had the opportunity to host some Japanese students myself, and I had a couple of different students stay at my house, and just they were just really, really cool, and got really close with them. And I decided that I wanted to go to Japan myself. I was 14 at the time. I was working at McDonald's. So I found online a scholarship, and I applied to it, got accepted. Worked at McDonald's for 10 months to save up the money to pay for the scholarship, flew over to Japan, and I was lucky enough to be accepted into the sister school, where I already had a bunch of friends that were going there, because, you know, I'd met them when they visited Australia. So I spent 10 months at high school over there, and it was, if there's any anime fans out there that have seen, you know, any of the the high schools in the anime, that's exactly what it's like, you know. So it was really, really cool. High school over there, it's different to high school over here in Australia. Everybody's like, there's no like sort of, you know, groups.
Yeah.
I found like everybody's like really, at least the school that I was going to, everybody was just like really supportive of each other, and there was a real camaraderie.
Cool. Yeah, because it's always really cliquey, isn't it?
Didn't have that at all over there.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I mean, there was obviously different groups of friends.
Yeah.
But it wasn't cliquey at all like that, and everybody was really quite supportive of each other. And it was really awesome experience.
Yeah, no, that's amazing, man. It sounds fantastic. I'd love to go and check it out sometime. Like I really want to. It's on my top 3 list. That's for sure.
It's like, I think one of the things that sort of attracted me to the place was, especially, you know, before social media and stuff like that. Back then, it's like it's just such a mysterious place, and you get there, and it's literally like you feel like you're on another planet. It doesn't feel like Earth.
Yeah. Why do you think that is?
Just because it's so different.
Yeah, okay. Because just such a different culture, different shot to everything.
Japan had, if you look at the history of Japan, they spent quite a few years in isolation.
Yeah.
So during that period, they had very little influence from the outside world. So it really enabled them to build a culture of their own, so to speak.
Yeah.
And it's just a totally different place.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Yeah, well, I look forward to checking it out sometime. That's for sure. Do you want to just what advice would you have for people that are like taking on a fitness journey, or want to find a trainer, or want to get in the gym? What's some sort of advice that you could best give to someone, whether I guess they're starting out, they're thinking about it, or they want to change, you know, and you know why they should come and hit you up maybe, or just in general with people with fitness, you know?
Well, I mean, when it comes to exercise, the as you mentioned before, the main thing is you do something that you enjoy. So you don't necessarily have to come to the gym and lift weights, but it is important to exercise. Everybody should be exercising because the benefits are countless.
Yeah.
So it's important to find something that you enjoy doing, and that will enable you to stick to it. Sometimes it takes a little bit for you to enjoy something as well. So try different things. stick to it for a little bit, because you might not necessarily enjoy it straight away, but you have to stick to it for a little bit.
Yeah. Especially initially, I remember that. Yeah. It was
because it's tough. Like if you're coming into the gym, and especially if you got somebody else showing you what to do, like I remember the first couple of workouts that my mates put me through, I literally couldn't walk the next day.
Yeah. And they're laughing about it because they know what's going to happen. Yeah.
Yeah. And that wasn't fun. I was in a lot of pain, like a lot of pain. I'd normally walk to work. It would take me 10 minutes. Those next few days, it took me half an hour because I was literally shuffling. So it's easy to forget, like, somebody who's been training for a while, putting somebody else through a workout, it's easy to forget how far you've actually come. And if you're new to weight training, you've got to start off slow. If you are interested in doing some weights, go to the gym, get a personal trainer, make sure you get somebody who can prove that they know what they're doing, and start off slow. Like if I have a new client, we start off doing 1 set of each exercise for the first week. The next week we bump it up to 2, because the last thing you want to do is go from wake up the next day totally sore to the point that you don't want to go back to the gym. Yeah. So it's important to start off slow. But then I mentioned precision nutrition before the study that I did.
Yeah.
That really shaped the way that I help clients out. And so I take a really client-centered approach now. So it's all about what the clients want to achieve rather than what I want them to achieve. So that's another important thing to look for in a personal trainer. Ensure that they're going to help you achieve what you want to achieve, not what they want you to achieve.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
But also another thing is it's very, very important to take one step at a time, one thing at a time. So don't go to the gym and try to change everything at once. You very few people can start a new exercise program, completely overhaul their eating, cut back on the drinking, get the perfect amount of sleep, all in one go. So it's important to take one step at a time. Start going to the gym. Try to make it to the gym consistently 3 times a week before you start looking into the diet.
Yeah.
And then once you start looking into the diet, you start off, again, small steps. So your first step might be to just simply ensure that you're chewing your food. Make sure that you're eating slowly and mindfully, because that's really important for digestion, and it really helps to, it really sets up a good base for all the other important habits that are to come.
Yeah.
Take it one step at a time. And that's the best way to, just like the way that you and I got your results. You didn't change everything overnight. You took it one step at a time, and it was a culmination of all those small habits that enabled you to achieve the results that you did.
Yeah. No, that's exactly it. And like I said, I couldn't thank you more for everything you did, man.
Like, no, you're welcome. Like it's why I do it. You know.
Yeah. No, and it's just the feeling from it, and just the results have just been astronomical, really. And the feeling and the energy back. Like, it's funny because I had not completely forgotten, but I'd forgotten why we started until I was talking to T last night. And I was like, oh man, I got to bring this up on the podcast. I forgot of it. I didn't forget, but like, I was just like, those results were just so, I remember my energy levels were just, everything was shot, and I didn't know what the hell was going on. It was probably like that for a little while. And just to, blow them through the roof after that and just keep going and pushing further, man. It's, hey, look, we complemented each other well. We put the work in, and, and I stayed accountable, and you held me that way, and I held myself, and the results were there, man. And it was fantastic. So guys, hit Sash up if if you want to get stuck into it and you want to see some results, it's there. And we'll link everything up there so you guys can find it. And,
if you, as I mentioned before, if you're the kind of person that that enjoys going to the gym but needs a bit of direction, wants to step it up and take things to the next level, I'd love to help you out. If you're on the Gold Coast and you want to, you haven't really been to the gym before, you want somebody to show you how to train correctly, come and see me at the Body Temple. I'd love to meet you.
Yep. There you go, guys. So hit them up. But thanks, Sasha, for coming on today. And
thanks for having me.
Doing the podcast.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Yeah, it's only taken 3 years, guys. But yeah, we got him here. We got him here eventually. But hit him up. I'll put all the links in the bio and everything. And yeah, thanks, bro. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Keep up the good work, Dan.
Oh, well, I'll keep it going. I'll keep it moving. Let's drop this down. Let's get these abs showing.
Excited to see where you can take it from here.
That's it, my friend. And that's us. We're out.